would you need?
A little hard.
Okay, we're gonna reconvene. The board meeting started at 6 o'clock, and we were called into order, and we approved the agenda at that time, and then we adjourned to executive session. So we're gonna pick right up. First up are comments from the public. Would anyone care to come and share thoughts with the board? Seeing no one, we'll move to the consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review the consent agenda?
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. The board chair's report, the only report I have is a big, giant thank you to every member of the community who attended the town meeting and then showed up to vote. I think we had 450 members of the community come to the town meeting, which since I've been following town meetings is about 100%, well, it's a significant improvement over what we usually get. And we did indeed have a motion from the floor to reduce the budget by over $1 million. And you never know how it's gonna go. And when they called the question and we were asked to vote and we saw that sea of green cards come up to vote against that motion, we were very gratified. So thank you to everyone who gave up their evening to support the schools, who voted yes, and who then turned out on Saturday. So thank you for that. That's it.
Great. A couple of things. I'll start and just echo that as well. This community for years has generously supported our schools and continues to do so, and enables us to continue to get better at delivering a world-class education. So I'm really grateful for such a strong showing of support, and we will continue the fine work. Want to say this week is Teacher Appreciation Week, so we have two of our esteemed colleagues in the room, so thank you. Words are inadequate, really, to express the gratitude that I think we all feel for the work that our staff does, and hopefully they've felt a little extra appreciated this week. We also want to acknowledge the PTAs for the work that they've done in recognizing our staff at each of the buildings. But truly, thank you. I want to congratulate our high school senior, Mike Wallace, for being selected as a National Merit Scholar. You may have seen that earlier this week. That's really a wonderful honor, and so we're really proud of Michael for that accomplishment. Did you want to talk about Julia Morneau and the great work that she's done this week?
Thank you. Julia Morneau, student at Wilton High School, came to meet me, and I think it was probably my second week here in July. And she's a young woman who had a vision to help the community understand mental health issues, help students, families, and the community understand some of the mental health issues that our students and community are facing. And she had a dream to bring that vision in developmentally appropriate ways to the students from Miller Driscoll all the way through the high school. And this past week she has been, we have been watching the fruits of her labor, and the students in the community have really benefited from her work. She is a fine young woman who is destined for great things. And I am glad to have met her and to have gotten to know her over this year, and I hope we have a long-standing friendship in bloom. She's really quite a young woman.
Great. And
Great.
then the last just bit of celebration is our Wilton United group. You want to just give everybody a heads up?
Yeah, it was a good week. It was a good week here in my land.
Yeah.
Yesterday, our Wilton United students, these are students with a wide range of abilities, and came together and they had their first annual, hopefully will be annual, talent show yesterday, and it was a joyous afternoon. So the kids had a great time. They led the whole thing from start to finish, and let's just say there wasn't a dry eye in the house. People left feeling great, and it was really great to see. So to the staff who've mentored all these young people all year, and to the students who've led the way, I say congratulations, fine work.
Great.
Thanks.
That's it.
Yep, that's it.
I think one other thing that's worth mentioning is that yesterday, U.S. News and World Report state of Connecticut, Wilton High School, number 10. So congratulations to the administration, the principals, teachers, and students, since student performance is one of the the key driver on that. So job well done.
Yeah, thank you. I absolutely missed that.
Committee reports, business ops.
Nothing. to report.
Nothing?
We didn't, have not met.
No meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, Debbie, nothing to add?
Well, I
Definitely nothing.
0 + 0 = 0.
Well,
I agree, there was nothing.
did your, okay. The subcommittees of the committee, I thought maybe your pension committee had met, or your retirement committee. Moving right along, teaching and learning, I understand you met today.
Yes, we did meet today.
Why don't you tell us about it?
Okay. Good
If
idea.
I can add
We
that.
met actually down at Miller Driscoll School today, and Kathy Kuhn, the principal, gave us an overview of some of the initiatives that were taking place in Miller Driscoll this year. One in particular is the purposeful play, and she showed us examples of that and talked to us about it, and that was really exciting. And then we walked around the building and in particular visited the preschool and interacted with some of the kids and saw some of their great work. So that was a fun one. And then also out to the barbecue, where the administrators treated their teachers to a barbecue lunch in honor of Teacher Appreciation Day. The other thing that's happening, we had the PE health curriculum review meeting since we last met. So that's progressing on schedule as planned. We reviewed feedback from teachers, students, and parents, and so that's guiding our work, and that's progressing well. Was there any other committee meetings?
No, we have.
The
visual learning
science
next
or-
week, Yeah.
Is that-
the digi-
Math is next week.
Math and Digital
Okay.
Learning Advisory meet next week, so.
Is the PE curriculum review, is that just physical education?
No, and health.
It's,
Yeah,
so it's
we're,
the whole
we're,
wellness.
it's interesting because there was a whole conversation among the group, so this is still to be determined, about the umbrella of wellness and how we can incorporate that terminology and how does that relate to what we're doing, and that's an ongoing discussion of the group.
We had the discussion with the nutrition committee.
what a nice segue
Yeah.
to the policy committee.
Oh, okay.
Can I
So,
finish?
Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Sorry. So I just wanted to add a couple things to what we learned from Kathy Kuhn.
Mm-hmm.
And one was she had restructured the humanities coach model at Miller Driscoll. They have 3 humanities coaches, and so she has one. She moved it so there's one for kindergarten, one for first grade, and one for second grade. And she says it's been great because they've sat on the IET for the teams for those grades. And she said that and someone please jump in and correct my
Response time.
terminology. The response time, but also like, so when at the stage where teachers can say, I need help, you come visit me, they're totally booked. With this new model, the teachers feel even more comfortable than they had in the past, and now they have no extra time, like they're busy all the time. Teachers are, just have a great relationship, they're working as a team and together and their trust. And the second thing was just when Lori mentioned phys ed, was that the Miller Driscoll specials teams are putting out newsletters
Oh,
to
yeah.
the parents. Because, Lori was talking about skipping and the importance of skipping, but everyone's just like, oh, my kid goes to gym, my kid goes to art. So the teams are sending home newsletters to the parents that have been received really well. So now parents can understand, like, yeah, there is a curriculum, there is a plan. Like, they're not just, doing stuff with, just for fun. So that was great. It was just a really nice.
And actually responsive to some of the feedback we got from parents through the PE health surveys,
That's
that
great.
they didn't feel they enough information. So this is a good start in terms of how we can let parents know what's going on.
And it's, it's one thing to say, oh, I know there's an art curriculum, but then to see actually how it's being played out. It's planned. So that was exciting.
Good.
So not much policy.
The policy committee, do you want to talk, or you want me to hear it?
You do such
Oh,
much more eloquent way of speaking.
As Chuck referenced, the nutrition committee, which I guess we're going to have to rename to the wellness committee. We met last Friday, and a big part of our discussion was changes that have been mandated to our nutrition and physical fitness policy to include a wellness component. So our board will be reviewing changes at the next meeting, which just make those, specifically, we need to designate one administrator to be in charge of the whole thing, and to implement a way of assessing how we're doing in meeting the goals that we've contained. But beyond that, we need to incorporate a wellness component, which will take into account social, emotional, which is missing from our current policy. So whether or not we come up with a brand-new policy to address that, or we rename the nutrition or physical fitness nutrition policy remains to be seen. We'll have to figure out the best course on that. Beyond that, we have a number of policies that we're looking at. Student surveys is another mandated policy that we will be bringing to you. Preschool education, we just sort of need to put in policy form what we are doing with our preschool. And there was a third one.
Lunch charging.
Lunch charging.
The National School Lunch Program, and then the other mandated policies, drug and alcohol testing for bus drivers.
Right.
So that's embedded in their current contract, but we need to codify in policy.
So we have a lot of things that we're working on. We'll be bringing to you. Because we're a very busy committee.
You're very well.
Very busy committee.
I know.
Kathy Kuhn also told us kindergarten visitation week. So prospective kindergarten students and parents came to visit. She had over 200.
For orientation?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yes,
yeah.
kindergarten orientation this past week they did. So it's been a busy week at
Oh, wow.
Miller Driscoll.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Can we see, let's have her bring the video?
Yeah, we should.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
it's
she
so
showed us.
cute.
She started our
It's
meeting
cute.
today
You
with
should
a
see the
video.
of
Awesome.
the kindergartners getting interviewed about kindergarten to show to the parents. Oh, gosh. We could all just let
I'd
these
love to see
kids.
it.
No,
Maybe.
because
it's
it's also
fabulous.
just, some of the things they said, was that's like a real life lesson. If we could all have that attitude of, one child was like, don't get really upset if you don't know how to do something, I'll work out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
Right?
From the mouths of babes.
Exactly.
Review and discuss digital learning update. We've anxiously been waiting for.
All right, well, good evening, everyone, and I am really very grateful to be here and to be able to provide this digital learning update. What we're really doing tonight, and I just wanted to introduce to you Drew Colati, who is a high school social studies teacher, who also wears a second hat as a technology instructional leader. Scott Silver Benito, who is manning the computer as always, is also the instructional technology leader for Middlebrook School, and you will see a number of others that have contributed to this virtually through some of the videos that we present. So I'm going to just start. So I really actually, in coming to you, as I'm thrilled to talk about the update, and we will get into the details. I think it's really important to first recognize the fact that as a community, it is a very proud moment to be able to say that Wilton Public School is a ready access digital learning district. And that is something that takes a lot of people. It takes a community. It takes all of the instructional leaders. It takes all of you, the Board of Ed members, and your support. It takes the visionary leadership of our admin. It takes our wonderful Learning Commons staff, our technology instructional leaders, our teachers and students. And this is real change that we're begun affecting, and it's a proud moment to be able to say that. So I started with the thank you first, because that's always something that we do at the end, and I think it's important that we recognize where we are with this update, and it's a very far place that we've come from where we were even just one short year ago. So we started with the vision, as we talked about, and what you'll notice from the vision is that it is very much aligned to what our strategic vision is. And you'll see words like student-centered and personalized. We're really trying with digital learning to make it a opportunity for teachers and students to engage in meaningful and relevant type of learning experiences where they have choice and they have voice. And I know that those are all wonderful words, but when you really actually see it in practice, which you will in a little bit, you'll recognize that this is really the age that they live in, and this is really how they need to not only learn, but they need to live. So the first thing that I've got is a short video that many of you saw in the beginning of the year that was produced by our own IT innovators, as we call them, Corey Sabia, Andy Perry, and Sam Schmidt, who will also be accompanying Eric Hawkinson and myself at the EASTI conference this year, where we will be presenting about the real experts in a Ready Access digital learning program, and that would be the students. So this is their contribution. Let's be a little bit loud. Can we fix it? There it goes. Okay. I'm going to narrate this because I think Andy's voice isn't supposed to be there. He's talking about the Digital Citizenship Boot Camp, the fact that we began a whole reliable infrastructure. And that teachers and students have been provided with a lot of professional learning. He speaks through the whole thing, so I think what I'm going to do is have that stop, and then we'll look into it.
Does it? Stop it, yeah. This, like that, we can make up the narrative.
That's okay, we can go on. So the goals of the Ready Access program are the following. We are really in the process of creating an environment that supports student-centered, personalized, and innovative practices using digital tools. That it really is the primary goal, and the number 2 and 3 are what support that. The second one, which is building expertise of our staff and administrators, is something that's ongoing. And the third, which really is the foundation of this all, which would not make anything happen, is that you absolutely need a robust and reliable infrastructure to support staff, students, and administrators. So part of this was, and you received the document, which was the plan that was provided to you in the beginning of the year. And what this has is a lot of detail, which I'm not going to go into every specific part. I would like to give you the higher level kind of summary of it, which is that, number one, the rollout was extremely smooth, and we are on track, and we've completed that. And that was our year 1 goal. Our year 2 is already beginning to progress. That is that we've begun the work that would necessarily take place next year, and we've set the motions in place. So on those end, it's curriculum, where we are integrating a variety of digital tools and resources into units of study as assured experiences. That's already happened in grade 1 and 2, and next year it'll happen in grades 3 through 8, and we're beginning to work as well at the high school level to do that too. On the instruction basis, we did quite a bit of PD, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a little while. We also, in a very big way, launched about 15 apps that we call our power apps that are part of our digital toolset. And we went through training, onboarding, and making sure that all of these apps are beginning to be implemented. And when Drew and Scott talk a little bit more about it, they'll actually refer to some of them. And finally, the hub of this all would not work without the Learning Commons. And the Learning Commons has been something that we've been working towards the last several years. And we've made quite a bit of progress. I would say we have a model of Learning Commons. Our library media specialists have evolved in terms of the role. They are the hub of the school. It is where the students are going in and doing all kinds of things from the technology point to the literature point of view. So, and making is a big part of everything that we're doing. So we are really moving forward. The only part of it that's really been challenging for me, and Dr. Smith knows that this is something that we talk about a lot, is that the funding is really not there. So as much as we have done and progressed quite a bit with the Learning Commons model, we have, in a sense, slowed it down because of the fact that we haven't had adequate funding to continue with it. And that's just something for you all to be aware of, because certainly the work can be done, but not having the resources in place is a challenge. So I just wanted to kind of like the overview and the highlights. We deployed over 3,000 devices. That's a lot of devices. All of them were inventoried. They were placed in a resource manager module within our online system that we use for cataloging, labeled, covered. We also hand out chargers. Those were done in the same way. And they were in students' hands probably about mid-September, to give you an idea of what was accomplished in the beginning of the year. The ongoing support is incredible. All you need to do is walk into Middlebrook any day, and you'll see students coming in and out with questions that are answered with, you know, they want their charge, they want a loaner. There are lots and lots of different things that happen. One of the things that I'd like to say is that not only did we do things really well, we actually implemented the K-12 Digital Citizenship Bootcamp in all our schools, but we also received recognition as a Common Sense Media District, which meant that we were recognized for having done that. We are very proud of the fact that 3 groups from our teacher community and students will be presenting at the National ESTE Conference. To give you an idea, that's sort of like going and getting into a highly competitive college. Not many proposals are accepted, and we not only had 1, not 2, we had 3, and I think that is a very big accomplishment. We have, like I said before, our student innovators will be presenting with Eric and I. We have Scott, who's here, along with Amy Korn, who has actually done a lot of work in terms of getting us there with the BYOD Pioneers, presenting on universal design and how it aligns to digital learning. And Jackie Whiting will be doing a presentation on the benefits of social media, to go on the positive end of what social media is about. So I find that to be very exciting for the district.
Where would that be?
That will be in Chicago, and it's, the dates I believe are the 24th through the 27th. In June. You may or may not know this, but we have received lots of local recognition. The local newspapers have carried a variety of really good news stories about our accomplishments. And we've also gotten national recognition. Dr. Smith and I authored an article that is actually right up there, Ready Access Digital Learning at Wilton Public Schools, and it was carried in a national publication. Anytime, anywhere, always learning for everyone. And then I did mention the digital Toolset, which is a huge advantage in having that, because not only did we leverage the fact that we have now a centralized cost center, but we were able to save money on it, and we're able to do consistent PD. And then when you'll hear from these folks, it's being used K-12. So you'll see like first graders using things that they're using at the high school. What we're planning for year 2 is actually really exciting. I always say that year 1 is really difficult, and our accomplishments this year are terrific. Going into year 2, then we actually get into the nitty-gritty of really integrating it with the assured experiences, with global literacy and global connectedness. We're holding a Student Innovators Academy with EdTech team in a few weeks, getting student digital leaders prepared at both Middlebrook and the high school. We're hoping that we have not only the assured experiences that are written into the district curriculum, but that we have grassroots types of things that are happening. We're doing a benchmark assessment on the evaluation end for 5th and 8th graders on 21st century skills assessments. That'll serve as a really good place to start to say, okay, now where do we need our students to go in a year from now? We've also done a levels of technology innovation survey for our staff, and we continue to look at our power apps, and we're looking at rubrics on creativity and critical thinking, and all of the kinds of things that are more process oriented that we may not be used to. Also next year, we're going from 12 hours of PD for all staff this year to building our expertise of our educators, meaning that we want to be able to have the folks that are really in the trenches, like Scott, Andrew, and the others that you'll hear from, be trained. I explained at a recent program meeting that I had with the department that sometimes it feels like you're building the plane as you're on the runway. And, you know, the good news is that we got the plane up and going and we're flying and it's been successful, but at this point we really need to get the folks that are doing all that work more training and focused kind of training.
Fran, what's a power app?
Oh, these are apps that we have identified as the kinds of applications or programs that can be used across all curricular areas in any grade level. So an example would be, and they'll talk about it, Flipgrid, which allows for students to have discourse and videotape each other in different types of situations. Educreations, where it actually provides the ability for students to do kind of a step-by-step, really great in math. Things like Padlet, where you almost have like an electronic sticky board where you can actually organize notes. So those are things we're identifying as being really good apps, quality apps that students should all use, and that will get them into being able to use them in any situation. So Eric isn't here right now, but what I'll just say is that none of this would be possible without his team and what they've accomplished. They have been incredible. Our infrastructure has been so much better this year. Our Wi-Fi has been so much better this year. And technical support has actually been so much better. You see On Track completed. He got a green all the way down. We're really very proud of all of that. And I think that the next slide will show you that the story is actually even better than that. And you'll see the slide in a different version later on, but he has a 5-year plan, and this is what it looks like. And we took a dip in terms of the cost. And what you'll see is that even though we're going 5 years and we're getting all of these apps, all of the PD, all of the devices, all of these resources, it actually, at the end of the game, if you're looking at 2015-16 to the end, we're cost neutral. And that is a really big story.
Is the dollar figure that those numbers were?
Really small, but 2,456,859, and at the end, it's 2,264,820. Able to read it. Okay, for the sake of time, because I am really gonna try to get through and make sure that you see the folks that have been here, I just wanted you to know that this will be available to you. The video here is of students in the Library Learning Commons at Miller Driscoll, which you spoke about before. If you ever get a chance, please go in there and watch what these students do. It is amazing. They are 6, 7 years old. They're coding. They're programming. There are robotics that are moving around. They don't realize that's what they're doing. That's the amazing thing about it, but that's what they're doing. And so this is our future. These are our future digital leaders, and it's really very important that you understand that whatever we say in terms of what is being done, it's happening at every age level. And that's really the really great part of this. I think I need to log in or something. Is that the problem?
Keyed up to log in.
Okay, all right, let me do that.
It's Google security. Couldn't view the video.
That's good. Good example.
All right, it's very good that I've got a couple of tech people to help me out tonight. Okay, so we'll watch a couple of minutes of this. And there is no sound, so don't worry. There should be sound there, though. But that's okay. It's okay. Oh, that sounded like something. It's not the video. So as you can see, they're using a resource called Makey Makey. They don't realize it, but they're doing circuiting. They're playing, it's like playing a piano on that paper there. The Osmo Pizza is a version also of coding. But when you call it Osmo Pizza, they don't know that it's really coding. Call anything pizza and you can do anything. My favorite is that they actually have something that they call Pizza Box Green Screen, which also sounds really cool. And it's literally they are doing digital storytelling in front of a pizza box, which they've painted green. And, you know, they do their videos. They're programming here, as you can tell. They're getting that little piece to go around the drawing. They create the drawing and then they make it go. And I've done this with adults, by the way. The adults don't do as well.
No.
My favorite is coming up. There's the pizza box, as I said, and they're actually creating a video. And you see them in the back, and they're you know, moving their little puppets that they've made using that technology. So one of the things I really wanted to actually emphasize is that what we're doing is not about students sitting in front of a screen consuming. It is very much about the engagement in using the technology to innovate, to you know, as you can see, they're doing robotics, but that takes the iPad to be able to do that. Do you think they know they're doing robotics? In about 5-10 years, they will, and they'll be able to do quite a bit with robotics. So now with the Bebot, this is one of my favorite ones, they actually have to make it go through the maze. Now, the fun part is that they are also working together to make it happen. This is great. This is a Lego challenge. It's very non-tech. It doesn't need to be high-tech. And when one of the kids gets it up on top, you may notice it because we don't have the sound. He just kind of like screams, "Yay!" Can you tell? And then this is my favorite. They're doing database research in 1st and 2nd grade. They're on a database called PebbleGo, which is one of our Power App resources. And they're using it as you might here in the high school. And then, of course, we're doing actual coding using Scratch Junior, which is, again, coding. Now, the really unfortunate part is the next video, which I hope we can get the sound for. Okay. So this is Jason Greasley, who couldn't be here tonight and really wanted to be here. He's the technology instructional leader at Cider Mill. And library media specialist there, wears many hats. He's doing a presentation for you virtually. We can give it a shot. I don't know whether the sound will work or not. You have it?
We're hearing the ding of the computer saying it's giving sound, so it's not on our.
Okay. All right.
Maybe it's the TV.
Okay.
Is
Might be
there a
the
sound button on the
computer
TV?
then.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so essentially, I think I'm gonna have this posted so that everybody can see it. But Jason and his team did an outstanding job in terms of, you know, implementing the Digital Citizenship Boot Camp and doing a variety of projects from Padlets with book reviews. As you can see, they're using TouchCast. They've done an incredible job with EduCreations, which I mentioned before, where they have done it in math classes. And that is something where a student can take a video of each of the steps in a problem and then narrate it. So once they've actually taken the video, they narrate the steps, which is really the essence of how you do math. So how did you actually get to that answer? It's not about the answer, it's about the process and the problem-solving piece, which the EduCreations program actually captures. So now we're gonna go to live, which we know we're gonna get sound. And Scott Silver-Bonito is here to do that.
All right, so I've put on the slide here just a small sampling of what we do at Middlebrook in terms of the Ready Access. I have to say that it's been met with eager eagerness on behalf of the students, on behalf of the staff, and the community. So we are very thankful to have such a willing and collaborative group of people in with us at the Ready Access stage. And I'd like to also thank my LLC partners, Andrew Cloutier, Dr. Andrew Cloutier, and Lori Ellis, for being such an integral part of our team and very helpful to me and to Fran and to everyone on board. So one of the things that we've started using this year is something called VoiceThread, and VoiceThread has really changed the way that we've had students produce work. And again, as Fran has said, we're about having students be producers, not consumers of digital medium. So one of the things that we use is VoiceThread, and we've had in the World Language Department, for example, Whereas back even when I was a student, you had assessments where you would go out with the teacher in the hallway and you talk one-on-one and have that interpersonal element, which is great. But now there's a sense of efficiency and also digital literacy and competency, and you have students recording themselves on a voice thread with different topics and themes. In this particular one, and I was going to try playing it, but I guess the sound won't cooperate, students are talking about their homes and chores, and about homes around the world as well, and making those connections. And it's really transformed the classroom into a language lab without having to book cubicles, which has been really neat. And it's kind of opened up the world for our world language classrooms. I didn't mean to be punny there, but it and that's one of the two tools that we use, Power Apps, in terms to record student discourse and student production of work. Flipgrid is the other one. I don't have it on here. I wish the screen was this much bigger. I would put it on there. But Flipgrid is where students can record themselves and react to each other through that digital medium, which has really changed the way that we have had students produce work in that realm. We also have been starting to use Google Sites. So the 7th grade world language teachers got together, and we have, again, a unit on the home and homes around the world in architecture. And we used to have students sort of create physical layouts of home listings, real estate home listings, so then they can come back to Wilton and sell homes, and we can have our enrollment go way up. So this year we started a new task. We started a new medium through this, and if you think about the SAMR model, it's moving up using technology. SAMR model is the model of technology integration, and it's really transforming, not just substituting a task. And students not only created home listings from real homes in Spanish-speaking countries, then they actually created a marketplace and tried to sell the homes to each other. And at the end, we saw which homes were the most popular. It's the ones with the pools. It was quite fun. Padlet, as Fran mentioned, is another Power App that is a really great collaging and media mixing tool that students can produce and show work and interact with that work on sort of a corkboard digital version. World Language Week, as many of you know, happened a few weeks ago. And again, students were tasked with the activity of finding a holiday that celebrated not just in the Spanish-speaking world, but all over the world. And they kind of corkboard these ideas and then interacted with them. And they made connections across different holidays. They put different media such as videos and pictures, as well as a narrative text to show those holidays. And I learned that there is a National Lawyers Day somewhere, so your lawyers.
Probably right before Raisin Day.
Right? Tell BTV that.
The 6th grade, on the theme of Spanish, the 6th grade did a symposium on Latin America. And as you can see in front, they have the computers in front of them that they use extensively to do database research. As Fran was saying, it's not just the apps, but also the research and all the tools that students gain and all the skill set that students gain to research different pieces of information then to present out, which has been really impressive. I learned a lot of things when we did the parent night at Cider Mill about all the databases we have and all the authentic materials that you can really glean from those different databases. In addition, we had our students meet with, I believe it was Uganda, if I'm correct, through a digital communication, and they actually exchanged different art pieces, which I thought was incredible. And the student feedback coming back from that, there was just such a sense of energy and electricity in the air. And to be able to make those connections, which before may have taken weeks through letters, it was now within moments instantaneously through the LLC that day. And Fran talked about the LLC sort of being the heartbeat of this whole program. And I'd like to end my slide with the LLC has been such an integral part of the Digital Ready Access Initiative. Not only doing things like helping students with sort of a swap out, a basic digital sort of exchange system, but also teaching them digital citizenship and digital leadership. In fact, recently we rolled out a lesson as a pilot in the 7th grade on writing professional emails. And it's great now, I'm seeing emails with signatures and dear and subject lines and really nice formatting, and it's just been fantastic. So it's not all about just high-tech digital tool sets and things like that, but it's also basic competencies in a 21st century world. So again, I wish I could put 1,000 things on here because there are 1,000 things going on in the building, and every teacher has really stepped up and eagerly met the challenge of digital integration. And I'd like to thank all of you for your support and Fran for her leadership on that. I'm going to pass the floor off to Drew.
So I'm Drew Colati. I'm a social studies teacher, as Fran mentioned, at the high school, and also the technology instructional leader. At the high school, I'd say there's nothing too radically different from in terms of the use of the Power Apps to leverage certain activities than we saw sort of at the middle school or even below. But certainly, we see a progression that's aided by the effective integration of technology at the lower schools, and something that I'm looking forward to watching these videos. Looking forward to seeing as the years progress here, what's going to happen when those students we see at the lower elementary school get to the high school. What are they going to be able to do? So, in general, ready access technology allows us at the high school, it gives us new or easier ways to collaborate, discuss, share, and create together. And more specifically, I want to talk about an example of how all of this can come together. So I co-teach a humanities class, or the humanities class at the high school, which is a 9th grade honors class, and it's a combination of English and social studies. It's a double class, so we have 2 classrooms that we open the wall in between. A lot of students, a lot of energy. It's a lot of fun to teach. A few years ago, I started running this full class project, or as the competitive students call it, the class versus class project, where we will put the wall back up and set each side with a certain task, generally revolving around some sort of development of an argument that they'll have to present to the other side of the class. So this task involves about 20 to 25 students all working together, organizing together, and trying to develop a response and to stay on task to do so. And it's a really fun way to get them to work with one another to really give them agency in this process. This particular example is a little more social studies than English. I am a social studies teacher, so I feel more comfortable talking about this one. But the key here is that this project really serves as a platform for students to do exactly that, to organize, research, develop their response as a cohesive unit. I think it's a good example of how ready access technology can help transform this type of work. And I'm sorry that my slide's a little busy as well. I wish I had, like a 360 view. This is a website that I cut pieces out of, but I can hopefully, explain this a little bit. So this project, they're asked to do a bunch of things to get started. They have to organize themselves, and they have to organize themselves, I call it politically, and they generally nominate some leaders. They vote on those leaders, and those leaders then begin the process of organizing the rest of the students into what needs to be done in order to complete this task. But they need to organize themselves digitally too, and this is where the ready access technology has really made a change in what's available to them. I used to have to wheel this Chromebook cart in. It's a big class. There are not enough Chromebooks. There would be a fight over resources, which I guess added to the project. But I think this is better. So the students have been exposed to a lot of these Power Apps throughout the year. We've been developing websites using Google Sites. We have created videos. We've presented arguments in a lot of different forms. And here they have a way of choosing what they think works best and going with it. So sometimes they pick some of the more common ones that we're used to. They usually first thing create a team drive in Google Drive so they can share all their work and collaborate. There's a chat function there as well, so they can continue to work outside of class. This year, a group actually created a Slack channel, which is another collaborative chat and work platform. And that sort of changed their workflow a little bit, and I think it was effective for them because they used it again the second time that we did this. And they're asked to engage in research. At the high school, we are really fortunate to have access to a lot of high-level academic databases that we use on a regular basis. I mean, these are things that I didn't see until I was in college, and it's something that we can expose them to now, and they use them. And it's pretty fantastic to see what they're going to come up with and the level of research they're able to pull off. And especially when they're left on their own, because I'm not telling them what they need to look for. They're making those decisions. They have to justify them, and develop the resources needed to discuss them. Then they developed this historical argument, which is something we practiced all year. And this was centered on these 3 questions or prompts at the top. We have defined progress in a societal sense. This is something we've discussed all year. Was the Renaissance and Reformation, this is the time period we were looking at, a time of progress, which is a pretty straightforward question. And then maybe the more abstract, which is, what drives or inhibits progress in society, which is something that they had to ground with the research in this particular time period. They also developed guidelines in terms of how they think they should be assessed on this project, which is something that I really enjoy doing with them, especially towards the end of the year where we've been discussing, what it is that what mediums are effective, what research is effective, how can you present an argument, to somebody else in an effective manner. So they developed that on their own. They talk about how they seem to have come to this. They think this is a full class project. We should be graded as a full class. The goal is how well can we work together and get something done. And that's generally the consensus they come to. And I do try to honor what they end up with. So, so that's what they end up with. And you know, they have to present their argument through a creative medium. And there's a slight twist to that where I told them this year, because they will immediately go to a live presentation to the other side of the class, I said, you can't do that. All right, it has to be some other form of expressing your argument. So, so this is what they did. They put together, this one class put together this website using Google Sites. And this is where you can see this intersection of all these Google apps that we have available here, and how they can work together to present a thoughtful, creative, well-researched response to our questions. And in this Google website, the one on the far left is their main page, which contains their thesis, their definition of progress, and their discussion of what drives or inhibits that. This group generally came to a conclusion that the disruption of antiquated institutions was the way to drive progress, and generally that's done through the work of some creative individuals that would dismantle, you know, the old institutions and reform them. Pretty sophisticated response, I thought. And they developed each page as a you know, as a piece of or a component of that argument. This one group, and they did it very creatively. This one group up in the top right imagined a play or a musical that they titled "Capitalism the Musical." Sounds interesting to me. And they created this playbill magazine on Google Slides, which they embedded into the website. Yeah, you won't be able to do it, it's a static image, but it's several, you know, it's quite a few slides long, and each slide helps build that argument in terms of how did this develop, how did it disrupt what was there, and how did it drive society forward. There's even original music that they decided to, there's a few videos of them singing as well. It was fantastic. That was not a requirement. They did that on their own. You know, so, you know, they had a lot of different approaches. This other group did a infomercial on Protestantism and the Protestant Reformation, Protestantism as seen on TV. And their argument was about how this, again, disrupted some old institutions and led to, you know, the development of, you know, more enhanced focus on individualism that ultimately led to kind of our modern world today. Pretty fantastic and sophisticated. I was really impressed with what they came up with. I was really impressed with how they were able to work together. Again, like I said, I do this twice in the year, once in the fall and then again in the spring. And there's a big metacognition reflection component to this, because the humanities class tends to be a lot of egos, and sometimes it's hard for them to work together, and we do a lot of reflecting on that in the fall. And I was really surprised this spring. This was probably the smoothest I've ever seen it. You know, no calls from guidance or anything like that. It went very well. So, you know, again, like I said, I was impressed with this effort that they put forward, and really this year it showed, I think, that the ready access technology can offer, you know, what it can offer to our students when they're able to put it towards a creative end like this. I'm really proud of it, and I'm really looking forward to what we're going to start seeing next year and really in the subsequent years. I mean, if we start seeing some green screen pizza boxes, you know, 7 years from now, I'm going to be really, really impressed. So, yeah, that's what they came up with, and yeah, like I said, we're going to continue to push the envelope and keep trying out new approaches and see what they can do.
So, I mean, thank you to both of you. That was, I know that this was additional time, and it is Teacher Appreciation Week, and we very much appreciate, we can't say thank you enough. But it's these folks and so many more that have actually been part of this entire initiative. And, you know, I did talk about this before because it is a very good story, but this is only part of the story. So it is a cost-neutral program. We were able to do all of this in this 1 year, and we're looking at so much more in the coming years. And as Drew so eloquently said, we're very much looking forward to the future.
I think it's so true. I just am so excited that it's hard to sit still. I think the kernel for me was the producers versus the consumers.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's not screen time and it's not passive. And I know that, you know, there's a piece of that when we read, you know, I understand that. But just the production modes and methods and strategies
and the creativity of the teachers to draw the kids together on it, it's just phenomenal. And so I just am so appreciative. I think that the district has,
Is Eric?
hit upon a terrific model for sort of doing the infrastructure, kind of not internally, but a little bit externally, and keeping the emphasis in terms of the staff on the learning and the integration, and it's just so phenomenal. I can't get over it. So I'm just very impressed, and it's a great way to sort of get towards the end of the year and hear this presentation. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I can't help but wonder or think about in 10 years when the second graders that we saw are going to be seniors, are we going to be ready for them? Okay.
Right.
And what is it going to take to be ready for them? Will we be as fast as they are, perhaps, and will we be ready for them?
Well, I did write some things down, especially as Scott and Drew were speaking, that really what we're creating are self-empowered learners.
Yeah.
So the students, when we talk about being student-directed, they truly are. It's teachers who, will be taking those risks and giving over that empowerment to the students and seeing what they, and you're right, in some cases they will be teaching us, and that's okay, because I think that's a great way to learn. The trends in technology have been so quick, as you know. We could look at 5-10 years ago and not talk about social media. The internet really isn't even that old. And we're already looking at the beginnings of augmented reality, artificial intelligence, robotics, and what will that do to what our students need to be able to succeed.
Yeah. I guess, the question is, in your opening comments, Fran, you talked about the funding and not having the resources that you felt you needed. And, I have to say, we just passed an $80 million budget. I mean, we can't, what is it that you need that we can't fund out of the $80 million budget, I guess? Or do you have a white paper on what you would?
Well, we have a 3-year plan just for the Learning Commons. If we just take a look at that,
Okay.
My estimation, if we don't fund it, we're now up to a 5-year plan. And that's a real shame, because what ends up happening is that when you talk about innovation, it's no longer innovation in 5 years, right?
Right.
If you're just standing still.
Yeah.
It needs to actually keep on going. And so, a lot of the things that you're seeing in, those maker stations, those are all resources.
Yeah.
Those are all things that need to be bought, and we need to have the facility. A space needs to be outfitted to be able to,
Right.
Do that.
Well, can Fran get to us or to me? I'd love to see what.
Yeah, we have it. We had a plan sheet,
Yeah.
in the kind of budget process
Yeah.
this year,
Right.
and trying
Yeah.
to protect, staffing and, there's some of the choices we made were
Yeah.
around the physical plant and
Yeah.
just deferring,
No, I
some of the
understand that.
purchases
I
to
just-
address the facility.
But
Yeah,
I
we
would really like
send
to see it and
tonight.
see what it is. And then the power apps, how
Yes.
expensive are they? I mean, obviously they don't come free and people aren't creating
No,
those. for
no,
the-
and
just to see.
the really good thing about that is there was a whole process behind that. Last year, I did an audit of everything that was out in the schools being used by the teachers. These folks really were very helpful. We did like a crowdsourced spreadsheet, and there were hundreds. And there was nothing wrong with them. They were all really, teacher chosen. It was just a matter of how do we make sure that things are, it's about the students, not so much as we want the students to have that consistent experience. So if we're gonna teach them something, it's better for them to see it over and over again in different subject areas and different grades. So, we looked at all of them and, just having a lot of experience with it as well, we chose certain things that we knew could be really leveraged in many subject areas. So yes, they do come at a price. It's part of my LLC cost center, but there aren't many. That was actually the idea behind it is let's go deep with fewer.
Typically, what would, one of the apps that you referenced cost?
Well, one of the unfortunate things are the things that used to be free aren't free anymore.
yeah.
So, for example, Padlet has been
Yeah.
free up until this year. So between, data privacy laws and other reasons, something like that for the district would be $5,000. We can't not buy it because
Yeah.
it's already being integrated everywhere.
Yeah.
So that is something that we would purchase. There are some things that are much more robust in terms of, having a data dashboard, being able to, get student data and be able to respond quickly to, what's happening in terms of achievement. And those tend to be a little bit more, maybe $10,000. So when I look at power apps, that's why I say I stay with fewer. And one of the plans we have for next year is to look at the data usage and to make sure that those are really the right ones.
Laura, Gretchen, anybody?
I was just, this is maybe just an observation as we've been working, Lori and I have been on the digital learning. And we were actually today at Teaching and Learning talking about collaboration and how it's not just a switch you can flip. It takes some risk, it takes some willingness to, and I have to say to Fran and Eric that one of the great things about the Digital Learning Committee was at the beginning of the year, Fran's like, okay, we're gonna go around the table and each school is gonna talk about what's not working as well as what's working, and I think Fran, that setup where, and it was like, you're not in competition, right? The high school could have one problem and Mildred School could have another one. And like Fran's willingness to respond and Eric to respond, they didn't get defensive, they were working until like our last meeting when there wasn't, it was all just positive things. And so I appreciate the teachers being willing to take part on that committee, and Fran and Eric, again, the work you're doing and your, like, the trust level, it's just, this is a big thing that we just did, and some teachers aren't really comfortable with that, but, you just being willing to be like, okay, what's not working? Let us know now so we can fix it and work
We can get
together.
there.
And I hope, the teachers felt that way, and, Scott, like, and Drew, yes, I know your classes are like, I've heard freshmen talking about this project.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Generates a little bit of buzz, yeah.
So, no, but Fran and, just today, like, having a conversation with you, like, you think so fast and, you're like, okay, this is how we're gonna solve this problem. And, we are so fortunate to have the two of you on our team and as well as our teachers. So we appreciate our teachers so much, but we also appreciate, if it's okay that I said that, of course.
I wish there was a way we could have the whole community see this presentation and see what's going on in the schools. Do you let parents in?
We've done some parent workshops. It really hasn't, this hasn't really been the, I guess in a sense it's been more about what do the parents need. We just recently had a very successful parent workshop. I think it might have been last week. I just lost track of time. I don't know what day it is. But it was last week and we had a hands-on workshop for parents. That's where Drew and Scott were actually participated. We had Jason Greasley, Brian Ennis, Lori Ellis, and they all did different things that had to do with what were their children doing at home. So we got them into some of the research tools, we got them into what does Google Classroom have, and how does that work. So and the big response came from that was, wow, we need more of these. So parents, and I'll talk about this at the Digital Advisory Committee next week, are asking for a series of workshops. And we can certainly do one that's more of an awareness. This is what has happened and this is what we're doing. I think that would be a very positive, really good workshop for parents. We also did one on essentially their cyber life earlier in the year, which was much more about digital citizenship and what they can do to do things like parental controls at home and how we can partner with them in terms of behavior online and how we can make that more positive.
I think, from a cost perspective, the more we can do of that, it really tells a story. 10 years ago, this $2.5 million, $3 million in the budget, whatever, it didn't exist. It wasn't there. And today is a whole new cost structure driven by what's happening in education that, you know, perhaps a lot of people in the community just don't understand. You know, why does it cost, why are we spending all this money? Well, there's a reason for it, because this is what the world is today.
Exactly.
And it's costs that have gone above and beyond what 10 or 15 years ago we even didn't have a thought about. And so the more I think we can get parents engaged, they can actually see what's happening and understand what's happening. The cost of distributing 3,000 devices is no small factor. So you know, our expenses are what they are for a very good reason, because we need to be in this position. We need to be in this market. We need to be doing this with our students. Otherwise, they're going to get left behind, and we can't afford not to do it. So it's just, I think, for people to think about that the world has changed, and it's changing tomorrow.
As we speak.
As we speak, will be different from today.
Well, maybe when we do that long-range planning
Yeah.
session, to make
Yeah.
sure that we see at least a clip of some
Good
of
idea.
that
Some of
kid
this,
work.
so that people understand
You know,
what's happening.
Just that this is the new student,
Right.
and
Right.
this is, you know,
Oh,
what they're
I like
growing up
that.
with.
This is the new student.
And this is, you know,
This is the student of 2018.
Yeah, I just think if they see those little kids doing, you know, all those complicated pizza box or not, that would be, I mean, you get a glimpse of, oh yeah, now I get it.
Yeah.
You know, when you see the kids actually doing it, or, you know, hear the report on, or the musical capitalism, or whatever it is. We'll play that for the
as
Board
well
of
as the
Finance.
real estate listings.
Because I wonder how much those tickets.
It's always such a wrap.
Parents who worry about just the screen time, the musical.
Yeah, I think this is
Or the
right.
real estate, like whatever, the kids are
But it's
interacting face to
producing.
face,
Right,
it's not
right, right. It's
just,
a
yes.
whole- Yeah.
There's a lot of collaboration that happens in order to produce and create. So I think that, you know, when we talk about the 4 Cs and, you know, in education, we kind of like throw them out. That's why I almost didn't even say it in the beginning when we were talking about rubrics. They really mean something, because when you actually do this the right way, they're engaged in a different kind of way with the technology. They are collaborating, so they're working together to solve a problem. They're communicating in so many different ways, and kind of like the new ways, the ways we're supposed to be communicating. It's no longer the 5-paragraph essay, I guess, that you do in a business anymore, right? They're creating and innovating. So the creation part of it is probably the key part of it, because of the fact that you know, we talked about the robotics, the artificial intelligence, and all of those components. That's going to take parts of what the economy is currently away. And so what ends up being left is the inventors, the innovators, the people with the ideas. So that's what they're doing. That's what these little kids that you're seeing, you know, creating these coding and, you know, programming and pizza boxing, that's what they're doing.
Fran, you said that we've earned the title or label Ready Access Digital Learning.
The Common Sense Media District, yes.
And that Common Sense, so,
Distinction.
right, and so where do we stand, is Wilton a standout district now in terms of what we're doing here? How do we compare with our neighbors? Are we being,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
are we considered a benchmark now? Are other schools contacting you
I
and
am
saying,
very
what are they
proud
doing
of
in
what-
Wilton in there?
Yep. So Eric and I can both speak to this, because we work and have worked in other districts. What's going on in Wilton, and what's happened really quickly, is that we are pioneers right now. I can actually very confidently say that in so many different ways. We are Ready Access, which is a very different model than a lot of districts, because we basically put out the fact that this isn't about a one-to-one. We're not giving you a device, and, you know, as a lot of people think, you know, that one-on-one is a magic bullet. It's not. It's in the way that we're approaching curriculum. It's in the way that the fact that we had a library learning commons model prior to even implementing this. It's how we've used that staff, and it's how we've actually rolled things out, like the digital citizenship, and gotten distinction.
And I have to say that that's been one of the really exciting things to experience in the district, is how not only are the students starting to work collaboratively, but just the administrative teams and the teachers, we're really looking at this holistically across the district. Where it used to just be, we would buy technology and put it in the classroom and say, go, figure out how to use it. This is really us putting the correct technology in the hands of students and staff and them using it appropriately to further what we're doing in the district. It's really, I mean, it really, both programs are hand in hand.
I just wonder how we could better market ourselves and get the
Right.
word out. You know, I don't know if having a group of realtors come in and talk to the two of you and learn about what we're doing. I think about, you know, how we just got the distinction on the US News and World Report, but this isn't something that's part of that measurement. If it had been, what number would we have been? Maybe even higher on the list, so.
Probably, yeah. No, I think that this is something that I'm certainly proud of. I'm proud of everyone that's been involved in, and I think it's something that the community should be proud of. You know, it is, like I said in the very beginning, the big news of the day for this update is that we in fact can say we are a one-to-one ready access digital learning district, which is one sentence, but it's you know, quite powerful, and it isn't something that every district can say.
Awesome, thank you.
Again, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well
thank
done.
you so much. I can always tell when you've been in to see Dr. Smith, when I come in after you, because he's in such a good mood.
He's got ideas.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
The truth.
It's truly amazing.
And let's just end right there. Next,
nowhere to go after
yeah,
that.
that says it all, thank you. Our next meeting is Thursday, May 24th. At this point, at the end of our meeting, is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward? And seeing no one, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is truly amazing.
All right.
It's just-
Yeah.